Greetings, friends. It's Pat back with another exciting episode of Let's Talk Travel. And I am excited about our discussion for this evening. In December, we are focusing on 4 unique ways for you to visit Europe for your 2023 vacation. And we're starting off this evening with the most popular approach to travel for these people for most destinations, which is independent travel. And we have a special guest here this evening with us, and most of you are going to be very familiar with our associate and good friend Kevin Gragg. Greetings, Kevin. We're glad you're here.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Pat.
Yeah. Now, folks, it's great to have Kevin here, and I do want to mention that we have we're glad that you're out there as well. And we want to mention that we have an especially fabulous prize giveaway this evening. Those of you who are regular listeners know we always have a drawing for some kind of prize. And I've kind of splurged a little bit this evening, and I have an assortment of gourmet French cheeses valued at right at $50 for this. So you want to stay tuned because you never know when I'm going to tell you to enter those magic words to get your name in that drawing. So we're glad.
Pat,
yeah.
That's only for people that's watching live, isn't it?
Absolutely. Live listeners only. Thank you, Kevin, for bringing that up. We can't extend this to people. If you're catching this as an instant replay, we're so glad you're out there, but we can't extend our drawing. Unfortunately, you need to plan to be with us live. And that's every Tuesday evening at 7:30 Eastern time. So mark your calendars, folks, because we give away some really fabulous prizes as well as sharing amazing information about destinations and travel. Just all kinds of travel information that we touch on during the year. So make it a regular habit to tune in with us, folks. Now, Kevin.
Yes.
I know that you have traveled very extensively throughout Europe, and to a large extent, at least to my knowledge, most of your trips, biggest percentage have been independent travel, what most of it, what we refer to here in the travel business as FIT, which is, as near as I can figure out, fully independent travel, how they translate that. But with so many different ways to approach travel in Europe, what is it that appeals to you, since you do this a lot? What is it about independent travel that appeals to you?
Well, what's the opposite of FIT?
Well, we have escorted, we've got river cruises. We're going to touch on all of those approaches, and they're great ways to see Europe as well. But probably for our clients, I would say that 75% of what we book for Europe is independent travel. So what do you think is the appeal for that method?
Well, for me, it's the freedom to get up when I want and go to bed when I want, and eat at a restaurant I want. Part of the what I enjoy when I travel is exploring different, maybe out of the way places that the tourists may not always be going. If you're with a tourist group, you're going to go to the same old places where all the rest of the tourists are. If you're doing independent travel, you can explore those areas, but you can also go to some of the more obscure places, or if you see an alleyway that you want to go down and you feel safe, go for it. So, that I just like being able to shots when I'm out and about.
Okay. Very, very good. And I think that's probably true for a lot of our listeners as well. They who enjoy the independent travel, just the freedom to do what you want to do when you want to do it. Now, for anybody who may be considering independent travel to European destinations next year, or even into 2024. Um, what elements do you think are important for people to consider and include in their travel planning? What are the the pieces, I guess you'd say, of an independent trip?
Well, the most important piece is the first piece, and that don't delay in starting to book something. Um, it's it, it's the world is opening up more and more and more, and people are traveling, and you need to start kind of putting together your travel plans and know where you want to go and how you're going to get there and all that. You can't wait till 90 days out and say, oh, I'm going to go to France and I'm going to do this and that. Uh, I really start sometimes at a year in advance
You know,
and start making my notes and where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do.
Good advice, Kevin. Because you've got the international air piece. If you're going if you're going further afield, if we're here in the U.S. and you're going to Europe, you're going to have international air. You're going to have local transportation between multiple cities if you're going to visit two or three places. Rail is great in Europe, or you may do local air there, accommodations. Day trips and excursions. Just a lot of pieces. Plus, you've got to think about the currency exchange and things like that. Local customs and cultures. You want to know a little bit about where you're going, what to pack.
Well,
I mean, that's a
real important too is checking your passport. Uh,
yes.
make sure that baby's not going to expire while you're gone, because I don't know exactly what it is, Pat, but there's some countries that require it to not expire 3 months,
Six months
6 months.
is a kind of a rule of thumb for a lot of places. They want you to have 6 months of validity after your return date. So, yeah, checking those passports as you begin to plan, because it's gotten a whole lot better, but it's still taking more time than what it did before the pandemic to get those renewals
Yeah.
done. So, or if you need a new passport, don't forget about that. Some people call up and they want to go take a Caribbean all inclusive, for example, and they haven't even thought about the fact that they need a passport. So,
Yeah.
uh, you, you know, uh, if you don't even have travel plans, now is a good time to get that passport. If you don't have one, get it now, because then you'll be prepared and you can go at when the whim strikes or opportunity knocks at the door.
Well, and I have a unique situation in living in Ireland, in that I have to make sure my residence card is it does not expire while I'm gone, because they won't let me back in the country if my residence card has expired.
Right.
So,
And we have that, frequently with people who live here in the US. They reside here, but they may not be citizens. And so they have things like that to consider.
mhm.
So all of that comes into your planning and you want to be aware of it. Kevin, do you think that there are certain European destinations that are particularly, maybe say, more suitable for independent travel than some other destinations might be?
Well, I think if you're a first timer, and it's not an issue as much as it used to be, but if you can go to someplace like uh, Ireland, any place in the UK, because they speak English.
Mhm.
Now, like I said, it's not as bad as it used to be. If you go to uh, France or Italy or Germany, most of those places, that people speak better German than I do, or better English than I do. Um, but if you get out and about in kind of maybe a rural area out of the major city, in your independent travel, you'll find that more and more people don't have a command of English. And an example would be my last trip was to Sardinia, an island off Italy, and I found there that communication was difficult. They do not speak English in Sardinia as easily and as well as they do in the rest of Italy. And going back though, if you're in the UK, even in Ireland or Scotland, though, I can't understand. I can't understand. There's when I was in Scotland. I remember I was with a guy, and we were looking at these cattle in a field, and they had this real long coat of hair. And he kept talking about a Haley coo, and I didn't know what a Haley coo was. Well, a Haley coo is a hairy cow. So you still have to be able to understand, but it's a good start to start with an English speaking England, Scotland, Ireland, and then branch
Ireland
out.
Ireland, I think, is just an excellent place for independent travel. We actually have people, a lot of clients who actually will do self-drive vacations in Ireland, and you have to be a little careful because those windy roads are definitely different. You get out on these back roads, and some of them, Kevin, they look like this, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they're very narrow, but
and you're on the other side of the road, and
yeah, and it's but beautiful, beautiful countryside, and an easy one. I think Italy also is a destination that really lends itself to the independent traveler. Most people in the major areas are very cognizant of, and speak English. Your people at the hotels, great tours, and things. So I think that some of the things that people want to consider is, you mentioned English speaking. You want to go places where transportation is fairly easy. It's not too challenging to catch a train, for example, between your cities. Safety, you want to be in a safe destination for sure. Some destinations, frankly, are more welcoming to U.S. travelers than some others. And you want, accessibility of centrally located accommodations that have the kind of amenities that U.S. travelers are accustomed to. All of those things enter in. So there are some, I think, destinations. I love Italy for first-time travelers. Just most of our travelers, I think, Kevin, first-timers tend to focus on doing Rome and Tuscany, Florence, Tuscany, and
Venice.
And Venice. Venice is a very attractive destination for most. And a 10-day trip, you can actually do those 3 destinations pretty easily, in a 10-day trip, which is kind of an average trip for people, particularly those who are still employed and working full time. So Italy is a great destination for independent traveler. France, Kevin, you lived there.
Yeah, I lived in Lyon, which was south of Paris. And with the train, though, it was easy to get to Paris, and they had a high-speed rail. And so it was a very comfortable, quick ride. So France, you can get around and see a lot of different things with a rail pass.
Very, very good. And Paris is absolutely wonderful. You can get out. There's just some beautiful areas just outside of Paris. You can do Normandy in a day trip from Paris. We can arrange even doing that. We have two couples who are going to be doing actually a pretty aggressive trip that probably is more than I'd want to tackle for the few days that they're there. But they're doing Paris and some time in Italy, Sicily, and then coming back and ending in Germany. But it's pretty easy to do those trips as well, where you're doing multiple countries. I tend to like to advise people less is more, I think, frequently. Focus on one country and see two or three of your favorite areas, top priorities. There's beautiful scenes in Tuscany, um, absolutely gorgeous. And, if you've only got 10 days, you really want to have 3 or 4 days in each of the regions to at least scratch the surface, I think.
Well,
Um,
I think an example of that, my brother actually, my brother, his wife, and his daughter all went to Europe. Just got back a couple of days ago, but they started off in Germany. They took a train to Italy. They took a train to Austria. They spent time uh, back in Germany. I mean, it was 2 weeks, but I'm getting the impression it was uh, a lot to try to tackle. And I think if you can focus on one, I mean, it's great. I mean, if you're when I lived in France, it was very easy for me to go into Switzerland, but to go all the way from Germany to Italy, back to Austria, all that, it gets to be a bit much.
yeah, it feels more like an endurance run than a
Yeah,
vacation when you're cramming. You don't have time to just relax and stop and the old cliche, smell the roses. It's a real thing. You just don't want to do. What about destinations that you think would be not so suitable for independent traveler to tackle? Do you have any? I think most of Europe maybe is okay.
Western Europe is fine. I probably wouldn't want to be going to uh, well, where the troubles are, you know.
You know,
Uh,
you want
I
to go.
don't know if they're even accepting travel and vacationers or
No,
anything. And
into Russia and that.
no,
Even in normal times, in Russia is not a place for independent travel. If somebody wants to book that, I'll refer them out. I'm not going to be responsible for booking a trip Russia. I think that Asia and the Middle East are other destinations that are far more suitable for people to do in group tours or other methods. Just
yeah,
much more challenging for the independent traveler to tackle alone.
I might consider a place like Dubai as an independent traveler. But again, where I live, that's not that big of a challenge to get there. And I
Yeah.
know several people that have gone there, but it's again 3 days, 4 days.
Yeah.
See, see the desert.
Dubai is very as far as the Middle East goes, very tourist. It's the most probably tourist friendly. I
Yeah,
mean, Israel as well is very tourist friendly, but it's much easier to tackle a trip like that in an escorted tour. Just
yeah. I wouldn't go
is,
to
yeah,
any of those
safety.
places without a tour.
Yeah, it would just be easier. What advice would you give to people who are planning to travel independently and want to maximize their trip? They want to come home with those fabulous lifetime memories. What are some key components that you would say to putting together a trip like that, Kevin?
I think we touched on it. It's and preparation and less perspiration. Uh, you you want to plan ahead, and you don't want to be so stressed once you get there because of time schedules and all that. Try to book plenty of time to see what you want to see and not be stressed on your vacation. And I see that a lot again, and I think you mentioned it, trying to see too much in too little time.
Yeah. And I think one thing that people uh, don't plan enough, plan some day trips and excursions. Book some of you can do fully independent travel and still book some excursions and day trip in a small group. Or even a motor coach, which we don't usually like. We prefer to get our clients to smaller groups, but day trips for sure and excursions. Those are memory makers, folks. Those are where you want to have some of those planned into your trip, and yes, they do add to the bottom line costs, but that's going to be where you bring home those lifetime memories, those experiences that you talk about for years to come. And I have some of those, and they're just you want to plan some of those.
Yeah, once you get to a destination, again, during the planning stage, talk to Pat. But once you get to a destination, it's so cool to be able to have someone come pick you up and then take you to a winery, or pick you up and take you to some caves that you access through by a boat. Um, I mean, it's it's part of it's my memories primarily come from the excursions, the day trips that I took from where I was staying I stayed at a resort or a hotel and then take day trips.
Exactly, and very important. Also, plan a splurge activity. I think every trip deserves a splurge of some kind. Everybody has unique interests. Maybe for you, it's wine and food. Somebody else, it may be cycling or some kind of active experience, rock climbing, whatever it is that is unique to you. Plan a splurge activity centered around your unique interests, and I'm planning a trip right now for someone doing independent Ireland, and they are interested in doing. And you did this recently, a falconry experience. So I'm looking at actually Dromoland Castle, actually, for them to spend. This is a big splurge for the trip. Spend one night there, and it includes that falconry experience and a a multiple course dining experience there in one of the fine restaurants there. And yeah, it's a little pricey, but I guarantee you they will come home and they will talk about that trip and that experience for the rest of their lives because it's going to be that special and memorable. So plan those and you know
Well, I always visit wineries, but and it's something I haven't done, but I think it would be an excellent day trip, or not a day trip, it's several hours. If you're in France or Italy and you're a foodie, Pat has access to things where you can go and learn to cook different meals. Where a professional chef gives you a class on food preparation and of local cuisine. And I think if you're a foodie, that would just be just a wonderful idea to do.
Yeah, we have some of those. We have opportunities where you can go actually into local homes, maybe go into the market with your host and shop for your dinner, and make a whole day experience out of it. So all kinds of different options with that, and wineries, even for the non-drinker
Oh yeah,
among you,
absolutely.
they are so charming, and the hosts, and it's just an experience. Even if you are not a wine drinker, going to those wineries is an outstanding experience. We did that in Croatia. We had a wonderful meal at a vineyard there, and it was unforgettable. And one of those things that everybody just went crazy talking about how special that one evening was, and we were like, "Where in the world are they taking us?" We were out there in the middle of nowhere on this bus, and we're like, "What in the world is? Where are they taking us? These back roads?" But it was phenomenal. So, one more tip I'd give, Kevin, is folks, try not to overpack. I know it's challenging, but ladies, we don't need 13 pairs of shoes. Really, really, you can make do with, three, maybe. And schlepping around all of that luggage, if you're moving from one place to the next, it gets pretty tiresome after a stop or two. So try not to overpack. One good sized suitcase per person for a 10-day trip. It can be done, folks. I do it, and I have to rein my husband in. He's the overpacker in our household. But and Kevin, one thing I suspect here that many of our viewers may not realize that they don't have to go it alone in planning an independent trip. That's part of what we do here at Dancing Moon Travel, and we do customized itineraries for independent travelers. So,
Well, just let Pat know your interests, maybe some primary cities, and then let her help you put together some ideas.
yeah, we can really help with those. We try to create seamless packages, and if you're traveling independently, we don't want our travelers struggling to figure out how they're going to get from the airport to their hotel. We will arrange transfers. We will arrange. And when you do your tours, most of our tours, your day trips will include transportation pickup, or we'll be very clear about your meeting point, and so you can easily get there. But we will create a travel package that is customized to your interest, your travel style, the destinations you want to visit. Folks, you can spend 30 or 40 hours easily planning a 10-day trip. I mean, the 40 hours is very easy to invest in planning. And why not just delegate that? Spend your time with friends and family, and doing something else, and let us put together the trip, and then present the itinerary, and then we tweak it. When you say, I want to change this, I don't like that. Every element, when we present an itinerary, literally every element in it can be adjusted, changed, removed, replaced. So and then we're here to, if something goes wrong at the end of things. I had travelers stranded in Venice not too long ago. The airline couldn't find their reservation. Now I could see it clearly on my end. It was booked. We had the whole thing. They had the boarding pass, but they could not find their reservation. So I was up one in the morning on the phone trying to get that, and they did get on the aircraft, but it was really weird. The airline couldn't see their reservation anywhere. We could see it, but they couldn't. So,
Pat,
yes.
I just noticed my battery on my computer is getting to the point where I might just leave suddenly here.
Okay.
So
Not to worry.
if I disappear, that's what happened.
Yeah. Well, I have just one more point I want to make. Don't forget your insurance, folks. Be sure, this is very important advice. Things happen far more often than you might think. Don't leave home without covering your trip with insurance. For it covers you in case you have to cancel, you have something happen that you didn't expect and you have to cancel the trip, or if while you're traveling you life happens. You trip and fall and break your nose, or sprain an ankle, or you get you become ill with. I mean, things happen to people as they travel. Life goes on. So insure your trip. It is an essential. We almost insist when you're leaving the shores of the U.S. that you have your travel insurance. Kevin, I'm going to just kind of close us out here. You're running out of battery. So Folks, if you're listening live listeners only, now I want you to enter in the comments box right now, Independent Europe. 2 words, Independent Europe, in the comments, and then you will be entered in our drawing for that fabulous gourmet cheese assortment. There's 4 different assortments. It is a $50 value. So this is a splurge for us, for our listeners this evening. If you don't like cheese, this would make an incredible Christmas gift for somebody as well. So you could re-gift it. So anyway, that's it for me. Any last thoughts, Kevin?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think people should definitely take a look at doing some FIT travel.
I agree, Kevin. So, folks, thanks for tuning in. Join us again next week for more on Europe with Let's Talk Travel. Bye, everybody.
Bye.